A huge shout out to the overthinkers.
An overthinker. He watches the show.
To the overthinkers, shout out Buffet too.
All about Fetu, this is Parker, yeah? Thank you, overthinkers.
Keep inspiring the next generation.
Shout out to the overthinkers. Thando kuphela. Much love.
To my overthinkers, mamela ubuchopho ngeke buphume buyakhula nizinja nikhokho yazini as overthink siya overachieve.
I'm stealing that. I've stolen that one. I've stolen it.
Khutiwa, thank you, overthinkers. Yeah, thank you, overthinkers. Parker doing this to us. King B, welcome to the show. Welcome everybody to the Overthinking Football Show. A show that is on every Monday to Thursday at 7 p.m. We also do watch-alongs of the big three, Mamelodi Sundowns, Kaizer Chiefs, Pirates, and then also Bafana and Bafana. You will find me here watching this. We're also going to do watch-alongs of the Euros as well, since we're a little bit short on football in this time because there's no club football. We're also going to be doing watch-alongs of the Euros. I will tell you which teams I'm going to be following throughout the tournament so that you can watch along with me. Guys, it's an interactive show where we talk about football, where we talk about local football, things that are affecting us, right? And it's a place where you can jump in and add your voice to the show. If you're following me on TikTok, there'll come a time where I'll say that I'm opening up the lines. There'll be a button that appears on your screen that says multi-guest. It's got a blue figure hugging a pink figure. You click on that, you request, I let you in, and you can tell me what you think about whatever we're talking about. This is what the show is about more than anything, is to hear from you guys and to have us as fans talk about these topics as fans, not as people who have to listen to analysts, former players, and all of that stuff. It is truly for us, by us. And if you want to watch any of the previous episodes, they are available on YouTube in full. Now, today, we're going to talk about the CAF Pro license and the UEFA Pro license. To set the backdrop, for those who don't know, we had a couple of coaches graduate from the CAF A course. So for those who are not in the know, coaches, if you want to coach in the PSL now, you're going to have a CAF A license, which meant that a lot of the coaches ran quickly to go get it. Steve Barker, Eric Tinkler, Gavin Hunt, Godfrey Sapula, and a couple of other coaches were part of the people that graduated with that license for now. That's CAF A. CAF Pro is then one that was instituted by CAF last year, which is only three coaches hold that one. And Coach Pitso is one of those coaches that have one of the three people that hold that qualification, CAF Pro, right? So CAF Pro is meant to be, coached by Rulani agent, CAF Pro is meant to be equivalent to UEFA Pro. But the reason why we're having this conversation today is that it turns out, according to Walter Steenbok, the technical director of SAFA, it turns out that there is no benchmark, there is no comparison. They have not sat down as CAF with UEFA to say, look, this is where the licenses match up. this is where this one is and this is where that one is. To give you an example, CONMEBOL, the South American Federation, the South American Federation, they have spoken to UEFA and they've figured out, Guti, where do we rank versus your license? Where do we rank all over the place? And can we get some of your courses in order for our coaches to get up to your level, right? So they know exactly where they stand. Now, this is important, guys. This is important because you look at Coach Pitso, for example, who has CAF Pro. Coach Pitso has been knocking on the door of Europe for the longest time, trying to get in because obviously he's one of the 3 most highest educated coaches when it comes to football in the continent, having that CAF Pro, right? But he hasn't been able to get in, leading to comments by people like Hugo Bruce, who came out and said, maybe if Pitso had a UEFA Pro license, he would be in Europe right now. So if we don't even know where the standard is, where we fit on the scale, where we go on all of these things, how then do we make it that, how then can we make sure that our coaches are getting into Europe? And I know Europe just so happens to be the measuring stick because they have the best leagues, they have the best teams, commercially, they're all of that stuff. So if you really want to go and measure yourself, that's where you go. But how can you go if we don't know exactly where do we rank? So today I want to have a conversation with you guys about this situation, but also is it then worthwhile to go and get this license, or should you just shoot straight to Europe? Atazwan is doing his UEFA licenses in Scotland. You've got Dylan Shepherd who's already done his that side. We have coaches coming from Europe into South Africa with these UEFA Pro licenses that they have, and they don't have any problems getting in. So why waste your time getting these CAF qualifications if they don't mean nothing in the bigger sense of the thing? Also, what happens in Africa too, just to cap off this convo, my part of this convo, is that the North African side, the North African countries, Algeria, Morocco, they have personally, with their own associations, gone to FIFA, gone to Europe and made deals with them. We are currently trying to do the same thing with Scotland, where the South African license will be benchmarked versus the Scottish license. So I want to know what you guys think about this. I'm going to open up the lines. Let's have a conversation about this thing, man. Busy talking about all of the coaches that are going to have licenses and that there's now a standard. And, you know, Walter Steinbock spoke about Abo, Busmuzi Vilakazi, Coach Busmuzi Vilakazi not having the licenses and how that was such a big deal. Only to find out, Guti, going overseas and going up you can't really do it because it's not benchmarked. So let's hear what you guys have to say about this. I'm going to ask you a couple of questions.
Because it's not benchmark. So let's hear.
Kuma, welcome to the show, my brother. How are you?
I am awesome. And yourself?
I'm good. Kuma, what are your thoughts about this situation here, where our CAF Pro and all of that, they're not even benchmarked versus other countries? It seems like we're doing our own homework and then asking those countries to take in our homework. What do you think?
Oh my guy, it's an unspoken rule again. Europe is better than CAF. And I like actually no, I'm against this.
Okay.
Like you just mentioned, the PSL clubs are working with Scotland to, like, I don't know, to see where they rank. But it's undermining us as CAF as well. Or even as the PSL. We are indirectly saying that, we're actually confirming that their standard compared to ours is the best. And in order for them to take us seriously, we should compare ourselves to them. So all I'm saying, if you want to be on equal footing, as CAF, we also need to have our own standards. Like if you're gonna get a coach from Europe coming to Africa in any capacity, Leonard, they must also sweat the way they make us sweat when we go overseas. But they must write an exam based on CAF standards as a requirement entry for them. It's all about prestige and snob factor. If you want to coach to Europe, Let's make it formalized here in Africa. If you are from the UAE, you are from CAF, we can even include Asia. No Asia. UAE and CAF. Whoever's coming in to coach a team in CAF, they must write a standard test based on CAF. And if they don't crack it, they don't qualify. That way, our standards are gonna be superior compared to them because we've always because we're gonna have like we would have standardized our requirements. Then the other thing, it's when they had 3-time winning CAF champion in Pitso Mosimane being coached by Mikel Arteta. Like here we are saying we've got the best coach from Africa. But Mofa, like being given a masterclass by this Nippo baby, asking any significant title to his name.
Yeah.
That's such things, man, they're undermine. Wabona inkesele CAF, ya coach woman, I mean, like Bafabu, Baragamang, this guy. Or the previous coach, Al Ahly. Elena Alpha Masterclass. How Nico that prestige. Or Gavin Hunt, even though I qualified, the Marwite experience are high. America for prestige. Even Pitso himself, Sanse Hunne, I think the masterclass. Recall Buyagan club.
Yeah.
Because once, Otia a face of someone alumgo Europe. Out of masterclass for CAF. Like automatically, you know what, as CAF people, we need to aspire to be more like Europe, which is wrong, guys. Because definitely we've got quality coaches. In fact, our leagues are actually tough because of are developed. You don't have the correct equipment, logistically, how difficult as opposed to UEFA. So guys, we should take ourselves seriously. Not everything that is good is in Europe.
So then, Kuma, can I ask you then, do you think that CAF should, I don't know, create their own license where a lot of the things that you're going to deal with as a coach is going to be hours, a majority of that syllabus is going to be problems that are faced in Africa or challenges or things like that that are Africa-based. Do you think that there is a need to go out and standardize across the world? Do you think FIFA should have a standard at least where everybody's at and then everybody can freestyle their own thing?
That's the thing. FIFA should have done that. The only reason I mentioned Tori is struggling, I'm going to use a different analogy. Maybe people batlang tshwaranyana. Like South Africa's doctors are sought after in the world because of the type of crimes and violence and wounds that we face in ER, as opposed to New York and Europe or even the UAE. Because you know where my brother, I'm not from Tulinga, I'm just making an example. My brother, R5 again to everyone every day. I want go London, Nagiri R5 wound. First of all, our hospitals, unless net care like some of us, go George Mokareda. Our such machines, Sanse, doctor, creative, even say your mama for a choreograph treatment. That is why get the same thing like a CAF. Why it's or pirate nail go CAF Maraya Kraza go put you CAF that revealing. Jonangi great. I want such things, it makes a difference. So our staff, FIFA na everything because I think FIFA it's where UEFA Gadinko. It is why I'm opposed to the Super League, but I read that different from that day. FIFA, UEFA, because UEFA got not Nagiri anything FIFA is an credibility.
Yeah.
That's not commercial value. So by default, FIFA go on Rudraga UEFA, because of FIFA can pretend or go on the power. Yeah, but yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna come back. Kumo. Let me go to welcome to the show. How are you?
Good. How are you, man?
I'm good. I'm calling Indaba with to do with these licenses. What do you think about this situation?
Yeah, the fact that there's different licenses, to me, it feels like it's different standards. And I'm still wondering why can't we have one license, long as it's professional football, because we have the same rules when it comes to football. You know, FIFA has the same rules in all the continents. Then why can't we have one professional license for all the coaches that are coaching professional? You get what I'm trying to say? Because as soon as we have a CAF license and then we've got a UEFA license, then you can tell that it speaks to the standards of these licenses. That is why a person who has the UEFA license is seen as a person with, you know, the highest license in football. So we have a problem there, and the fact that CAF is saying they have not benchmarked already tells you, Uguti, it's not gonna work out for us.
So
Yeah,
then,
so I would propose that FIFA itself, they need to introduce a license that needs to be done by all the coaches, especially those that are coaching professionally. Talking about the Premier League and the first division as well. But as long as we are coaching professional, maybe all the coaches need to have one license, so that when you go to Belgium, you have the same license as the coaches that are there. Anywhere else, you produce the same license as long as you are coaching.
so tell me, Nko, why do you think this hasn't been done?
For me, it's very simple. They don't regard that as I don't know which term to use, but you know, most when they think of Africa, it's like we're a development for them. That's why we are an incubator to their football. They come here to get players so that they can develop them further that side. I think that's the way. That is why I'm saying, as long as we still emphasize us as Africans doing these CAF licenses, then it means we accept the standard, that we are not within the same standard as them. So they don't look at us as people who are actually good at coaching and having the highest level of football IQ.
So what's FIFA's role here? What do you think FIFA should have done with this license thing?
I think they need to take charge. If they want us to a uniform thing in terms of football, remember they are the highest decision-making body in terms of football. So if they want to make sure that each and every country, each and every region in the world, when we speak about professional football, they need to introduce measures that are going to help us to be in the same standards as UEFA or Europe. So let them introduce a license, like I'm saying. Let them do one thing so that all of us can follow that same thing. We can't say you did a CAF license and then now once you are done with this CAF license, you need to go to Europe and do a UEFA license so that you can coach there. It's not making sense to me because the rules of football are the same. If it's offside, it's the same offside that is recognized in Europe. We don't play to different rules in Africa. We play the same football. Then introduce one license so that all of us can get that license.
Okay. I'm gonna come back. Let me bring in Prapet. Prapet, welcome to the show. How are you?
Fine, Mr. Mokwena.
Prapet, here we sit with this licensing issue. What do you think of it?
Do you think you can tell a person like Jomo Sono to say not to coach his team because he doesn't have a CAF Pro license or UEFA Pro license? It won't happen. Because some of the teams, again, they are selling status in the Premier League, and then whoever is the owner can decide which the best coach he can hire at the moment. I mean, you got coaches who didn't even finish matric, and then but he knows football, so you cannot say he cannot coach because he hasn't finished matric and he cannot study and he cannot pass all those things that are required. So it's gonna be a big problem.
But then they put in
I'm
a
a
rule.
Kaizer Chiefs fan. I don't care whether you got a CAF Pro license or we have a UEFA Pro license. We want trophies. Anyone who can bring trophies in the team at the moment is welcomed. Let Bobby Town hire him or whatever. Again, in Madrid, they don't care what I'm not sure about the thing, but what I know about it is that if you don't win at least one trophy in Real Madrid as a coach, you get fired. Look at instant again for Wayne Rooney. I mean, Wayne Rooney is a well professional soccer. He's well known, but at the moment, he's a coach. Every team that he coaches, it gets relegated. Then what do you say in that situation? So you need to fire him. So I think it will be according to what the coach knows, what the experience, and let's put the qualifications aside, and then deal with what you know and what can you do for the team. Yeah.
But then, Prapet, what do you say when I say to you that license is not just about the tactics? It's about how to manage a team. It's about how to deal with other things. Because a lot of our coaches are very good coaches, incredibly good coaches. Mara, ba shapa ki admin, ba shapa ki bo leadership, libo what. Pela, now you are coaching in the big leagues.
No, bring someone. I tell you, got technical team. Bring someone who can make you understand those things, so that you cannot get exposed. So that is my input regarding if they really require those things. Hire someone who can translate for you. I mean, we got coaches who cannot even speak English, but they get a translator who can. So that thing can be resolved that way. Yeah.
Okay. Let me go to Agent. Agent, my brother, welcome to the show. How are you?
Oh, I'm a bit behind somewhere else, so sorry.
No stress. Agent, welcome. What do you think about this situation, man?
I think Kumo caught my eye in the comments, and I would like to refer to maybe in my personal space. You see, when you are in a profession, right? There's jobs and there's profession. Professions you hear about people like doctors, actuaries, accountants. Those are your teachers. Those are your professions, coaches. And then we have jobs. People who may be marketing, people who just get the degree and they're done. Then we have professions. Now with professions, what differentiates them is because of the complexities that are involved. There has to be certain standards which are set and which need to be adhered to.
Yeah.
And every continent or every country has its own standards depending on what is the need and the complexities around the country. I'm going back to what Umpo raised, that we need to have one license. That is kind of impossible because Africa, the way it's developed, the way our players get developed, in Europe, they don't eat pap and malatza in the morning, but here we eat it, So the way our players develop in terms of nutrition-wise, food-wise, thinking-wise is different to what the Europeans do in terms of development. So you need to have those kind of discrepancies on how to develop such kind of player, That's the difference. Now, with most professions like the one that I am in, you sometimes have a memorandum of understanding between two continents or two nations, for example. In my case, is between England and South Africa.
Yeah.
Where even if I had to go to England right now, with the qualifications of the knowledge that I have, I can go there and work. Right. What I need to do for me to be admitted there, I need to just send a few documents and they approve it. And when they feel like, no, here you are short, they provide you with extra lessons or extra classes or extra something for you to bridge the gap, so that you can adapt to the environment there. So back to the coaches thing. So for me, I feel like in as much as we can have different CAF Pro and CAF and UEFA Pro licenses, it's up to CAF to talk to UEFA and say, guys, this is our CAF Pro, this is our standards, this is what we have done, this is what we teach.
Yeah.
And then what you guys teach us, like, oh, this is what you teach, this is what you teach, this will be different, right? So now when someone wants to have CAF Pro license, right? Because you can't practice, to be fair, if I'm being fair, you can't practice using CAF Pro in Europe. The same should be vice versa, you know? Like I said, for the reasons that I've mentioned, nutrients and how everyone is developed. So when you get there and you want to have UF Pro, you should not be starting from another license, from a license. You should be having a bridging course which automatically guarantees you the CAF Pro. You know, imagine Pitso with his CAF Pro has to start from UFC, for example. That is not nice, you know, and it's unreasonable. So I feel like some of these things are, as I always say, people with the power have no ideas, and those with ideas have no power. This are supposed to be the very beginning of CAF. We are getting a new course called CAF Pro. Guys, what can you advise? What can you teach? What can you teach? And then from that, we can subtract what you need to subtract and add what you need to add. But there has to be that also memorandum of understanding or mutual recognition agreement, as they call it, to say this is where we need, this is the discrepancies, and if you want to come this side, this is what you do. If you want to go that side, this is what you do to bridge the gap. Yeah.
So then, Agent, I want to ask you, but shouldn't FIFA play the role of Kanakinka counting IFRIS? Shouldn't FIFA play that role where they go, you know what, guys, you've all got your differences and you may all have your different laws in your countries and different tax, whatever. Mara, 1 + 1 must be 2. At the very least, we must set a standard where we know that all of you are jumping off from here. Then you can go and tailor your courses for your own things. Shouldn't FIFA take a more active role in this type of thing, especially as the body that governs everyone?
I don't know. Like I said, I'm not in the know-how in terms of FIFA, but if they don't have it, it's an error on that side, you know, because I feel like they should be having standards, like you're saying, IFRSs. You know, that guys, there's the standards for you to have said you have a 10 CAF Pro. These are the basics of it that, you know, you should be following. So I think if FIFA doesn't have that, then you're in the right to say, I think FIFA is also failing them in that sense.
And then can I ask you one last question before I come back for the second round? Why do you think it's like this? Why is it when we speak about FIFA and world football, man, it seems as though is doing their own thing, the other one is doing their own thing, the other one is doing their own thing. UEFA is coming up with new weird tournaments. CAF is trying to do this, that one. Why is world football like this?
I think if you look at most things that happen, is usually there's the motherboard and then individual states that okay. So what happened with FIFA is individual continents that have their own thing, and then they combine to form FIFA. So that kind of reversal has caused a lot of problems, you know, because everyone wanted to get that thing in, you know. And again, I don't know if it was you or someone mentioned that the influence of UEFA on FIFA, you know, they assume that the very fact that UEFA has a standard actually, you know, so you don't have to have standards, you know. So I think that's where they get it wrong. But for me, again, goes back to the leadership. I always tell people that sometimes, even you as George here, I'm sure your son is gonna do a better job at your job. Not because he's better, but because he's finding things at a better place, and he has to just do final touches. You know. So I feel like also the leadership is always focused on the wrong things. You know, this is the time where the discrepancies, what. It's high time the new leadership says, guys, let's fix this. We can't always be on autopilot, you know. I think we always go back to the refs in our country. That yes, refs have been for the longest of years been part-timers and everything, but it's up to leadership to say, guys, with the way football has evolved, with the way football is global, it's high time we standardize everything and you guys become full pros. So for me, it goes to the lack of leadership of FIFA and CAF, to be fair.
Okay, okay. Let me bring in Sean. Sean, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm okay, Maka. How are you?
I'm good. Sean, here we sit with this question. CAF Pro versus UEFA Pro. Apparently, according to Walter Steenbok, TD of SAFA, there's no comparison there. They haven't come together and sat down and figured out where each other stands. What do you think about the situation?
I agree. I think is a question of power. CAF and UEFA. England has allowed these European coaches to come and coach in Africa. And then we have run this narrative that CAF is basically worthless. The one that has allowed this type of, right?
Yeah.
So I think what needs to do is just work on.
Hey, Sean, you are cutting very badly.
Yo, can you hear me now?
Yeah. Let's see.
Yeah. What CAF needs to do is just work on it. Right? Because that's all it is. I think it's very important to improve that curriculum.
Sean, I think try request again because it's cutting very, very badly. So I'm going to take you off. Just come back again.
All right, sure.
Yeah, I'll give you the time. I'll give you the time to jump in. Kuma, I want to talk about the licenses now. It's so hard to get a license, and it's so expensive to go all the way up to a CAF Pro license, up to a CAF A. I mean, Abolit Solunyane had to fly to Zambia for weeks and things like that. We've spoken about how there's maybe a difference in resource levels between Europe and Africa. Should it be so hard, man, to get these things?
Mara, the truth of the matter is, George, we're only catching up to formalizing everything in Africa. Sometimes they are failure because of, I don't know, the people they are old, as Agent has alluded. Imagine Grenada has to go to Zambia, where we always brag that we have the best run league in definitely in SADC, arguably in Africa. So why can't the Zambians come to us as an example?
Yeah.
If they wanted to establish a SADC office where you can get your license, the pro version, why must it be in Zambia? Why couldn't it be somewhere central, like in region, like our region central, I would say Zimbabwe, for example? Why can't the respective bodies, they know every 6 months, say, you guys need to prepare, every 6 months someone from CAF, a representative will be here to invigilate your exams when you have to go and write your pro licenses.
Oh, yeah. Sorry about that. Kubo, carry on.
It's more things like this that make CAF inferior to UEFA. You know, I don't think book company have to get out of Belgium to get their license. They can do it practically everywhere as long as more on the continent. That is why I want. And my guy, if the pricing, I can be a bit controversial because I'm always gonna be in the capitalist side. But if you're gonna wanna attain such a high ranking license, and by obtaining such a thing, you are gonna get your return on investment. I mean, like you can go and coach in the Saudi league. I'm going to use the Saudi league because that is where you can get the most money when you have this license. So if you look at it from that perspective, you're gonna get your money back. And also, it makes it much more prestigious. Nahana fella kumo promo pane aloira CAF Pro license just to be on George's show every day for 7 at 7 p.m. And that's very easy. I get is that easily attainable. So if we know you're gonna spend $1 million, my guy, we're gonna serious. You're gonna take yourself seriously as a coach, and when you're gonna want to maintain those standards as a coach, or when people hire you, they hire you on merit, and it's something that you yourself you're gonna cherish and you're gonna take it seriously. Maybe that's what I think.
Okay. Just to be fair to Safa, they have a coaching department or leadership, something that they'd started. They started with their first CAF A round. Locally was with Gavin Hunton now. So they were doing it here. I just think to get to pro, you have to go from DC, BA, and there's so many steps and so much money. CAF Pro is not available even to the rest of Africa. You can only do it, I believe, in Morocco or Egypt, if I'm not mistaken. They haven't rolled it out to the rest of Africa, even that CAF Pro. Come on.
Can I rebuttal for like 10 seconds?
Yeah.
No, Safa is not gonna get away with this. They were being reactive. The only reason why they had to do those things is because their likes of SuperSport had a chance to compete with CAF.
Yeah.
And one of the requirements for you to play in the CAF Champions League match was that you needed to have a CAF A license. So they were in panic mode. They were trying to make sure everyone had to get it. Like they wouldn't be doing it the same for what Dan Smiley said. Like everyone know who with us. But that is why they didn't care about such people. Had they had done this before, Nengareya will give Safa its flowers. But right now, man, they were just in crisis mode. That's why they have to do it now.
Okay. Let me go to same question to you. The availability and ability to get these licenses, man, is it too much of a hassle? Is it too expensive? What can they do, to gatekeep this thing less? Or do you think it's even gatekept?
In terms of the price or how expensive it is, I don't think I have much of a problem because there's lots of money in football. To get a certificate as a coach, obviously you have to go through all the and meet all the standards.
Yeah.
And obviously you need to be tested as well. So I don't have a problem much about why expensive it is, but the fact that you're saying it's on the A license is only offered in Morocco.
Oh, the pro license, the top one.
Or the pro license, yes. And when you say the pro license, you're referring to the CAF pro license.
The top one, yeah.
The top one, exactly. And then I'm saying if it's a CAF pro license, then it would be easy for us as all Africans to be able to carry it. We shouldn't spend more money to try and go to Morocco and attend classes there. That is meant for Africa. So I think there is gatekeeping of some sort. And as soon as we get rid of those things, I think it will be better for us. But I still have an issue. The fact that we've got our own standards and then UEFA or Europe has got their own standards. That is why we are going to be having these issues.
Do you think maybe that's part of the issue here is that even though there's no standards, ourselves we go see Dramovic as a UEFA pro and he comes this side and it's very easy for him to get on, even though there isn't really a way to rank them next to each other. Isn't that part of the issue here, that maybe even as Africans we look down on ourselves a little bit?
No, I don't think we look down on ourselves. I think there is the fact that we also aspire to go and coach there. Look at Pitso. The work is so frustrated and he's so keen going to coach in Europe. It's because the highest leagues are there. And I don't think it has got anything to do with us being, or looking down on ourselves. No, the standard is very high there. And we can develop our own standards this side. You get what I'm trying to say? We can improve our development and improve the leagues this side in Africa. and then we can showcase our talent to them to say, hey, there's something that is there in Africa that is worth looking at. You get what I'm trying to say? So the
Okay.
fact that everyone seems to, especially those who have the ambition of going to coaching in overseas and in UEFA, they want to get the UEFA license because they understand that go and coach, whether you are coaching Blackburn, already you are somewhere there. You get what I'm
Okay.
trying to say? So everyone wants to go and play in the highest league.
Okay.
So even
Okay.
the
Okay.
coaches, they would want
Yeah.
to go and coach in the highest league.
No, let me just check something here before I go to Uprapet. I just wonder what license do you need to coach just an SA team? Ask King B. King B, the ruling is now that you need CAF A to be a head coach and CAF B to be a assistant. If I'm not mistaken, guys, you can correct me there in the comments. Let me go to Prapet. Prapet, these licenses, man, how easy do you think that? Why do you think that is, and what can SAFA do? Kawane, Kimo, they've said they want these licenses, but if you look at the CAF A license class, for example, by 17, you know, Babang who had it before had to go to other countries. Babu, bo atazwane ba champile ba ile ko Scotland ba ile batla le UEFA. Wait, me, I can't. Kiliko high, ke batla UEFA. I wouldn't know where to start or where to get that money. Is access an issue?
I think suffer for coaches who have potential of becoming national teams or something like that, like Mokwena, the Sundowns coach now. I think they can maybe have some funds or maybe to help those kind of coaches to reach. But again, it will also depend on the team again, because if you hire that kind of a coach, how much are you going to pay that coach? So it's going to bring a lot of issues in terms of like, he's saying so much, but it's not delivering. So I think it will be, if it's set up for teams, Premier Leagues or Spanish teams, yeah. I think for coaches like Pitso who wants to coach there, maybe they can have a criteria how to help them to get to, because it is also going to help South Africa at the end of the day. If they come back home, they've got the experience and everything. You can even see Brazil. Brazil, every tournament, especially when it goes to World Cup, they always got some coaches who are just analyzing the game, just watching there and giving advices to the current coach. Hey, this game is like this, you need to approach it like this and that and that. So, but for the teams in South Africa, it's going to be a big problem because, like I said, if you got a manager like owner like Jomosono, or this Mam Chize, it's going to be a problem to pay that kind of a coach.
Okay, Prophet. King B is still asking in the comments. I believe, and correct me guys if I'm wrong in the comments, they've rolled them into one. So SAFA and CAF is the same thing. They've put them together to make it just a CAF qualification instead of calling it SAFA D or SAFA or whatever. It's all one. So CAF A would be the equivalent of a SAFA A. Agent, should these things be gate kept? Is it proper that it's gate kept and not open to a lot of people? I think I'm going to ask you the question that way.
It's a difficult one, to be honest with you, because of the way everything is set up, right? So let's say in the hypothetical world, you know, at the end of the rainbow, it has to be gate kept, because not every Dick, Tom, and Harry should have that, you know, as in any profession, shouldn't have everyone having it, right? Now, the complexities of that is that, okay, before I go there, is there any coach in PSL except Rulani who is a special case? who is a coach but has not played before?
I'm trying to, off the top of my head.
Yeah. You see how difficult that is.
Morgan Mamila. I think I'm just trying to go through them. I'm going through them in my head.
Yeah, Morgan. So you can mention Morgan or else, so it looks like the way the system is designed to absorb only former players, right? In a hypothetical world, for me, like I said, there is always that one guy at Kaizer who knows football, but to play it is a problem, This is where we need to have development coaches. It's the same as we have development players, we need to have development for coaches, where you are taught the basics once you turn 18, then you start to be guided through the courses, So I feel like that's where we are lacking, to open it to an ordinary guy at Harangu, for example, because the system is designed only for former players, if you look at it.
Former players and current coaches. I mean, if you look at the graduating class of CAF A, like you said, former players, Godfrey Sapula, Chabulani Mendu. Then on the other hand, you've got Steve Barker, Tinkler, you've got Gavin Hunt, and those guys were probably sent there by their teams because, hey, why would I want to go fire Steve Barker? Let's just pay for this license for him.
Yeah, you get. So I feel like it's higher time also that we need to have development for coaches, Like I said, sometimes I don't know if he's still alive. I'm sorry if he's not. The goalkeeper boy at Chiefs, what is this called? Miwa. Is it Miwa?
Offing, what Chiefs? Kune? Oh, got disabled Miwa.
Yes, the boy, the Kera made him over, right?
Yeah.
But he still had the knowledge. You could see that the boy is smart, So you take him to a coach's school, So a coach development. So I feel like we need to have that. So even at a young age, like you, for example, you have the football know-how, you have the brains, but because you're short and chubby, you couldn't cut it through, So imagine if there was that kind of development for you, You could have easily be the coach of Chiefs now, So I feel like this system itself is feeling us. And I feel like it's up to SAFA, CAF, and maybe FIFA to come with that, because I know we as Africans, we can't be innovative and come with it. It has to come from Europe,
But then, Agent, the big question is it worth it? Is it worth it to go and get this thing? Because if my goals are loftier than the PSL and maybe Africa, and I want to go into Europe or whatever, clearly it's a tough place to go. And you can see with some of the guys that can do it. I mean, Steven Pienaar was like, I'm going to do mine in Europe. Benny was like, I'm doing mine in Europe. Boata Zwane currently is finishing off his thing in Scotland. Is it worth it to get these licenses at the end of the day?
Is it worth it? No, but you have to do it? Yes. It's one of those things, Like you said, every profession has to have its standards. It has to have its qualifications, and you have to do it. Otherwise, we're in a mess. We're even in a bigger mess without them. So, it's a stressful thing, to be honest. And I think CAF needs to do something, and SAFA needs to do something also. Like I said, also, if you are able to identify that, let's say, for example, Rulani, you can see that there's something there, you can take him yourself and develop him, but only if there's a proper structure and proper development, And again, if there was a development side or development plan, you could see that, this boy, what is his name? Man, for example, Pep Lindo Kutli. This guy is smart, You take him to the system and you take him to Europe and say, Europe, take him there, develop him there, We don't have that kind of system to develop our own, and which is unfortunate, to be honest.
Okay, no, Agent, thank you so much. Okay, guys, I'm gonna give us a chance now. I see Usiasi is in the queue. I need another panel. Or we can go into topic number 2. I like this topic because it's interesting to me, again, because like King B saying, if you want to be a coach, you need to have the licenses, right? But what good is a license that I can only ever use here? And if I want to go and coach in Europe, for example, I need to then do bridging courses. Pitso had to. The reason why Coach Pitso was being taught by Mikel Arteta was that was a FIFA sanctioned course that Pitso was doing, right? It was like a European course that he was doing on his own, right? Otherwise, he wouldn't be there. Otherwise, he wouldn't have some of those things. So, firstly, kudos to Coach Pitso, for example, for going so far with his things, so far with his coaching and doing all of those extra courses. But why do you need to do all those extra courses if it's not going to mean anything for you to try break into Europe? And the other part that I was trying, the point I was making was, it's all well and good. We know now that there's no communication that has happened between UEFA and CAF for these licenses. But at the same time, we allow coaches from Europe to come in here and we go, yeah, no, they are better. Automatically, even though there's no benchmarking that has happened. So is it then a problem with us going, nah, guys, these guys are better and just because they come from Europe? Maybe when we do benchmarking, it comes out that no, actually, because we have so many different things we have to account for in Africa, our coaches might be better, or our standard, our courses, our curriculum might be better. So that's where I was speaking about. Let me just get these two in, then we'll decide on whether to go to the second topic or not. Super, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm good, Chief. How are you?
I'm good. Where do you stand on this licenses conversation?
You know what? It's better to have a UEFA license. We've seen it with your root crawls. Now with Jose Rivero, these quality coaches, they can come in and make an instant impact without even going into the transfer market, without even knowing the kinds of players that are around.
Yeah.
Ruth Kroll came to Pirates. He found a team like that. He made it work. He got a double treble. So it means that there is a value to getting a UEFA license. The problem now is racism. In that, as you say, what's the point if I'm not going to be given a chance in Europe as an African coach? It's not the standard of the football, because they obviously go very deep into technical aspects.
Okay.
And any coach that has been through that course, you can see their coaching flexibility. It's not like with a Gavin Hunt, you know what when he goes into a team, you know what to expect from that team. He plays the same whether he's coaching Swallows, whether it's Wits, whether it's Super Sport. The only difference in the results is the type of quality player that he finds at the club. But his game doesn't really change. Whereas now in Europe, you can see a formation changing mid-game 2-3 times. A formation changing mid-game, which shows a deep technical understanding, which shows depth in knowledge.
But does that come from the license? Because I could also argue one of the three holders of the CAF Pro, it's Coach Pitso is one of them. The other guy, Regraoui, I might be butchering his name, took Morocco to where they ended up in the World Cup. I think it was the semis. So is it really the license that's doing this? Because even in our league, Sid Ramovic has a UEFA Pro, if I'm not mistaken. Pablo Franco Martin has a UEFA Pro, if I'm not mistaken. Now, fighting for top 8.
The thing is, if they didn't have those licenses, would they be even fighting for the top 8?
No, but
it's not just a matter of license, it's a matter of the resources that you have at your disposal. Yes, you have a license, but if you have players that are 25 years old, 26 years old, 28 years old, that still need to be coached, it's a problem. It's a setback. Yes, it's a salary thing that brings them in to say, okay, there's a club owner who can actually afford to pay the salary, but when he gets there, the materials he's working with, if the tools are not sharp enough, he still has to sharpen the tools before he can implement his style. So it matters. In fact,
so then can I ask you a question?
And a university degree.
Yeah.
You understand? It makes a difference, even if people have the same level of intelligence. But the one who's coming with a matric certificate and the one who's coming with a university degree, there's going to be a difference in the quality of output, even if the intelligence is the same.
So then can I ask you...
plenty of intelligent coaches.
Can I ask you, does it go the other way around too? That, you know, sometimes in university, you get a degree because you had the resources. So Gavin Hunt once said in the interview that he would love to play expensive football, incredible football, the type of stuff that Mamelodi Sundowns plays. But then he's like, I don't have the personnel to do that. So could I argue that there's African coaches who could, with their licenses right now, be put in the championship and do better because they've got better resources there? Can we make the argument the other way around?
No, definitely. There's always exceptions. Like a Pitso, a Pitso in the Premier League with those kind of Premier League players, he could do wonders as well. It's not what we are lacking, but there's a deeper technical aspects. Like with all other things, sivalelwa ngaphandle. Get what I'm saying? Sivalelwa ngaphandle, and if you can get into that inner circle, still there's gonna be red tape that prevents you from going forward. There in Europe, there's so many European. It was such a surprise that Patrick Vieira got a Premier League gig. Probably he got that Premier League gig because he is Patrick Vieira. You understand? Otherwise, coaches of color are not given a chance. And we can't shy away from the fact that there's a lot of racism in football.
Okay.
You can see it with the number of World Cup spots African teams get. But then at the same time, when you take African teams to a World Cup, they get beaten by 5-0 sometimes. So there's a difference in quality. You cannot deny that a UEFA license gives you better quality. But it's not the be it and end it all.
That's why I'm like, I don't want to say that that's the thing. I don't want to say that because even with your example about getting university degrees at matric, we've all worked in places where we saw the university person walk in, they've got their degrees, they've got all their things. Mara, umuntu can't work. And then you see the matric person is the one who's running the office and doing the stuff at matric. So I wonder, my thing is, as much as we might feel as though that UEFA license is the be all and end all, there could be a lot of coaches that you could give Real Madrid and that quality can carry them through, for example, in the Club World Cup. And there's probably a lot of those coaches that could come here and face some of the problems that our coaches are facing or some of the issues and not be able to do much with it. If we look at Carlo Ancelotti at Real Madrid versus Carlo Ancelotti at Everton, this man has won everything, right? But he got to Everton and he struggled. You get what I mean? So I wonder. And then there's also the question of, because we haven't benchmarked either way, are we just giving it to Europe because of their resources? Are we just giving it to them to say that, inherently you guys are better? Whereas maybe a plus could be that Mina, Ngidlala eBhuqwini, my team is there. We're playing tiki-taka on gravel. We figured out how to do it. I've taught these players who don't have the education and all of that other stuff to play this thing. Am I not then not a better coach, but am I not a good coach outside of the license? But for time's sake, let me go to Siasia. Is it Siasia? I just want to make sure. Siasia, there we go. Siasia, welcome. I wanted to ask you, what do you think about this Lendawema license that we're talking about right now?
It's a very interesting topic, man, that you have brought in. But I have some few questions that I would like to ask before we can even get there. Before I answer your question, brother, to get into the world of football, it's very difficult if you have never played professionally.
Yeah.
Or
if you don't have connections or family.
Sorry?
Or if you don't have connections or family.
Yes. If you've never played professionally and you do not have any connection with people that are playing professionally or anything like that, it's very hard to get into the football world at all.
I agree.
For example, I'm from Stenga, brother. So in Stenga, we are mostly close to Durban. So in Durban, we have like 3 teams, I believe. We have Amazulu, we have Richards Bay, because Richards Bay is also close to Stenga, and we also have Royal AM. Brother, with 3 teams in Durban, it's even harder to get even to offer them players. We have players that are dying, like they're aging so fast because we can't get them anyway. Understand? We have great players that we know. We have great players that we know if they can come to PSL, they can make a difference. But we can't offer them all of that. You know, we've got talent that is wasted in our societies. We can't do nothing about it. When we try to find ways, for instance, I sent an email to Kaizer Chiefs. I just wanted to present myself because I've got players that I believe that can make a difference. Right. So I sent an email to their marketing group and stuff like that to just present what I would like to offer them.
Okay.
And then I also sent an email to Amazulu. I also did the same thing. I also sent an email to Richards Bay. I also did the same thing. Because I see great players in our societies, and there's no one that seems to be caring about their talent. You understand? We've got great coaches, we've got great players, people that can make a difference in our world football, especially in our South African Football Association. But they can't get anywhere because all the doors are closed. I've never received any reply in all those teams that I've sent an email to. Right. I would like to be a coach someday, but I do not know any facilities around where I can study this to get this license to coach a team or anything like that. So when you approach teams that are nearby, you get no reply. You understand? So that means if you are somebody trying to get into the world of football and you have never played it professionally, you've got no connection at all, just forget it. Those are the signs that they're giving me to say, okay, you've never played professionally and you got no connection, just forget it about trying to get into the world of football. Understand? It's really difficult, brother, to get into this because there's no one that seems to be paying attention to. Right.
Do you think that is an African problem? You know, because a lot of the time when I speak on the show and you speak about like UEFA, it feels like UEFA is committed to making sure that UEFA gets better, that Europe, even if it means some of the countries are the ones that are pulling it, but for Europe, they need to all improve. So they've almost got a mandate to go find the best coaches. Even if you're in Stenga, we will go and find you. the league under the championship. You know what I mean? Even if you are a player in the middle, we'll take you and we will loan you out as teams. We'll loan you out to elsewhere. And even if it doesn't work out, we'll then sell you later. Do you think that that we are missing that type of commitment within African football as a whole and also obviously in South Africa?
Most certainly. One of the biggest problems we're trying to copy so much all the European standards, of which we are not even at a level where we can say we're at our best level as an African continent. But we are pushing so much to be like UEFA, to be like all those European football. We can never get there without fixing us first, right? Let me give you an example. Pirates was in need of a coach. Gavin Hunt was free. I was rooting for Gavin Hunt. They went and get Coach Rivero. Why didn't ask Gavin Hunt to just hire Gavin Hunt? He's a quality coach. Let me tell you something, brother. In all the coaches in South Africa, personally, I believe Gavin Hunt is the greatest coach ever. I'll give you my reasons why I say that. Gavin Hunt has never coached a big team with quality
Chiefs.
players and great players. No, forget about Chiefs.
And he took
went
us to the
Chiefs already.
semi-final.
He was under pressure already. He was already, and Chiefs was in crisis, and he was never given enough time to build himself and work on Kaizer Chiefs. He coached SuperSport United. He won a lot of trophies. He coached Bidvest University. He won trophies. Can you imagine a coach like Gavin Hunt coaching Sundowns? What he will do with such a squad? He will do wonders with such a squad.
But isn't that the issue? Just to bring it back to the licenses, isn't that the issue that Coach Gavin Hunt could be as experienced as he is? He just recently got his CAF A license last week. But what does the CAF A, it's under pro, but what does the CAF A mean in the world is my thing. Because CAF has not done the work to go, okay, fine. If you've got a CAF A, it's the equivalent of, I don't know, UEFA B is equivalent to that one. So that when I go knocking on the doors of these teams, for example, in Europe or elsewhere around the world, when I go knocking on those teams' doors, there's a measure there. Isn't that the issue here?
Okay, there's a brother here who was speaking before me who said one of the biggest problems that we have in football association is that we have racism, right? I believe that the Europa side, they believe that they're more superior than the African side. And we are, as African side, allowing that. Because all the time, we have to be their puppet, always seeking their help, always trying our best to be so close to them or get help from them. Why can't we, as an African football association, come up with our own things, brand our own things that can be compatible in the world of football? You understand?
Okay.
Why can't we come up with our own procedures and processes where we can say, okay, this is our way of an African way of doing things, so that when even someone comes from Europe, like Coach Rivera, when he comes to Africa, there are other things that he has to go through, like other studies that he has to go through to say, okay, now you're coming to African side. That Europa license you've got, it does count that you are a coach, but then these are ours as an African that you have to study. Just like how we have to go to overseas, like you said, Pitso had to go and study under Mikel Arteta and stuff like that, because they have their own procedures and processes. Why can't we just come up with our own? I just don't understand why.
For time's sake, I'm going to jump in so I can let in Taendi. Taendi, welcome to the show. How are you? Taendi? I'm good. Taendi, where do you land on this subject? The CAF Pro license apparently has not been benchmarked. They've not come to an agreement with both Europe and some other federations to make sure that you know how to rank each other. What do you feel about this whole talk that we're having about these licenses?
I was Uchi. I was listening to other speakers. I was talking about this issue. I just realized one thing. I I I I have this feeling, Yoguba. I think Abu Mutsib and the power that be.
Yeah.
I want to think that they went to these guys at the UF, try to talk to them about trying to meet these standards.
Mm.
The increase the
Oh, then
equivalent to. I'm just assuming. I'm not sure, but so many things. Africa are not in the proper in terms of infrastructure. And then even now, CAF now we have group Arab. We have a group ngaba ngasing Zanzi. We have Leo Nigeria no Ghana. I forgot the if I don't. There's this bad sound, man. I don't know if.
yeah, no, we can hear you perfectly. We can hear you perfectly. So just try fight through it. Apologies about that. I know about that issue.
Yeah, okay, no. No, mine is short, but when I team, I think Africa needs to. I want to echo with the previous speaker. Africa must constitute their own things.
Mm.
We have to have our own way of doing things because if we want to compete, UF, we won't make it. There's so many things that we can mention. One of them, for me, that sticks out is infrastructure.
Mm.
How do you have a CAF pro license and go and coach a Ghana? I mean, if you go there, if as a Ghana is controlled by government, government can decide with no, we close the football because of politics.
Mm.
So there's so many things that are happening in Africa that will hinder its progress of coaches there to advance progress in Africa. That's number one. So number two for me, when I want to echo the previous speakers racism. There's a lot of racism in terms of this. Even as a UEFA coaching, when you have to have a pro license as a black person, name one person who is black now on the pro license. Of course, a very formidable team is a UEFA. There's zero, nothing, none. So racism plays a part as well in this thing, a pro license. So for us as Africans, to cut this whole thing short, I think it's high time that at least we develop our own strategies, our own ways of working together, of developing our own ways, our own standards in terms of pro license, on how we want to work. And I want to echo as well what agent said, in terms of malnutrition, in terms of those things, this is in Africa, distances, have to travel, all those things. We won't match UEFA pro license for me, in short. There's so many things I think we should fix first to get our house in order.
So then, Andy, why is it that we trust? Why is it that we trust that these coaches from Europe will be able to face those problems? Like you're talking about governments and all of that. Why do we inherently trust that those guys will be able to face our problems? Even though I don't know if UEFA Pro license ever deals with a lot of the issues that we face here. So shouldn't it be a minus on the UEFA Pro with them when they come here to say, Mara, Nina, we are like infrastructure, it's amazing. We are like Pablo Franco was a assistant coach at Real Madrid, the Amazulu head coach, right? Why do we then trust that those guys will be able to face those problems? Nathi siyabayekela bangena nge-license siyajabula. You heard about owner Tim Sugazi, was telling us about UEFA Pro license coaches. Hey, everybody must get a UEFA Pro license coach when he was talking about Sid Ramovic. Why do we inherently believe that those guys will be able to face problems that they've never faced in Europe?
But not, you see now, it's the same thing it's the same argument I'm talking about. Mentally, Africans, we want to worship anything white, and everything that comes from Europe, we want to worship it. Look at the same coach, Galaxy. Where did he coach that guy? He's accurate. Where did he? There's nothing. You see, that is just dull. There's nothing. But because this guy comes from Europe, we want to accommodate him and give him the platform and raise him and in level of kings. That's because from Europe. So I think this inferiority mentality here to us Africans. As I feel bad, at least let's deal with our own way of doing things before we can adopt into the Mapan. Because we want to worship everything that comes from Europe because it's it can flourish. They are failing. All these guys, Mavela, who has made Umazi Africa, who comes from Europe. So that's very, very scarce. And our own guys from Africa, they are successful. We have Pitso, for example. Pitso is a very successful coach in the same continent, Africa. You know what I mean? There's so many coaches. Even the one who's coaching this team. I say GRC. What's the name of this coach? Al Hilal. I think it's Al Hilal. What's the name of this coach? He's a very successful coach. Yes. So if we develop our own coaches with our own ways, with our own strategies and everything, I think we can make it. And in Europe, at least we can go back and say, okay, this is how far we have gained as Africa. This is how far we have developed. So let's try at least and come through to UEFA and see where do we find the balance.
Okay. Let me bring in I want to get your name right. Is it Lenkosi? Can you just tell me before I butcher your name? Welcome.
Welcome, my brother. It's Lenkos.
Lenkos. Okay, there we go. I just wanted to make sure. Lenkos, tell me, what do you think about this conversation we're having about licenses? This UEFA license versus CAF licenses?
As for me, I don't know much that with the pro license or UEFA, but me, I'll just go with the background of football, as in Africa, right? We don't have development. The coaching starts from the development of what you are coaching, right? For example, our juniors and all that. In Africa, we don't have those junior players development clubs. Like what you're doing here, we do have, like Sundowns, Chiefs, we do have from under 13 and others. But we don't believe in them.
Lenkos, are you with me? Guys, can you guys hear me? Super, can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you loud and clear.
Okay, I think Lenkos is just having a little bit of an issue there. We'll come back to him. Super, I wanted to ask you, to Lenkos's point, are these licenses gate kept? It's so hard to get them. It's expensive at times, or maybe just the average person won't get it. We see a lot of previous former players, current coaches, former coaches are the ones who are getting these licenses. We're seeing even down to Bokef D, Safa D, Gavin Hunt's daughter did one. You had Kemang Motsepe do one. When you look at these things, man, is the access hard to get? Let me just ask it straight. Is the access hard to get?
Yes, definitely they are being, because if they were not being gate kept, if everyone was allowed a level playing field, Europe there's a one hours. Europe makes sure Uguti come hell or high water, they always have some sort of advantage.
Yeah.
Whether it's the infrastructure, whether it's the qualification spots, whether it's the way they do their rankings, but Europe is making sure that not only Africa, but also South America, in terms of the CONCACAF, they are kept outside. Because if Africa and CONCACAF were given the proper platform, Europe is was. Like we've seen it, Pirates, Italy, Manchester City, Chiefs, Italy, Manchester United, Amazulu, Italy, Manchester City. It's very possible, Uguti, as in, if everyone had the same level of playing field, then the truth would come out. Uguti, where are the best coaches? So hence I said, Uguti, there's always an exception. But this UEFA license, it gives you a little something extra that we don't get at home. We don't get in our own continent. And Europe doesn't want us to have that little extra. It starts with the development. And then after the development is the infrastructure. After the infrastructure is the information. If you've got the information, but you don't have the development and the infrastructure, it's very hard for you to apply. But if you've got all three in place, then there's nothing stopping you. There is nothing stopping Mamelodi Sundowns from taking on Real Madrid. If Bayers Guti, they've all got the same training facilities, they've all got the same level of besides intellect, and aptitude, but the same academic. And then they've got when you compare Itlor Cop to a training ground with Real Madrid, you can see with Leo leg, it actually builds up to something. If players can sleep over at the training ground, wake up at the training ground, do video analysis, corner lapo, it's on 7, your breakfast is ready, you're just gonna go to the lobby, you do your video analysis, you don't have to still go drive up and down on a training ground and things like that. Those things make a difference. They make a huge difference when at schools you've got proper facilities and your development is starting at the right age. Our development proper, it's starting Guboma age 15, which is already too late.
So then
if development is at age 7, yes, there's always the risk of overcoaching players, but those things make a difference.
But I want to ask you, then what's stopping CAF from doing this? Because I know as South Africans, a lot of the time when we think of CAF, we think of CAF from when we were, 1992 allowed back in. But CAF has been around for a very long time. The Champions League, it's from the 1950s, right? Why is it that there's such a big gap between Europe and Africa, number one? And then number two, what is CAF and FIFA's role to play here to make sure that, even as CAF, to make sure that internally in Africa, we are at the level, or we are getting to the level, or at the very least, our top teams, your Ahlys, your Sundowns, are at the levels to go and fight for Real Madrid and actually put up a fight, go to a Club World Cup and win it, or even South American teams or American. What does FIFA and CAF have to do here?
Yes, and to be honest, and this is the reason why Motsepe is at CAF. Sishama resources. Like physically, Africa is huge. It's a humongous continent. It's not easy to travel to Africa to do these courses. You get to a Nigeria, a Porta Valley, where you get to this country, there's no grounds. You get to this country, there's no facilities to actually do the courses. We are being hit by physical resources. We don't have the kind of money that is necessary to implement this thing as quickly as we'd want to. And the logical thing would be all of these things to be based in South Africa, for everyone else to fly out from the continent into South Africa, because South Africa is well developed. We have our universities, we've got the facilities, we've got sports centers and everything like that. But imali, sishaywa imali, Mr. OT, asishayu intelligence, asishayu a lack of talent, asishayu intent, sishaywa imali. Which is why Motsepe is doing his best to do what Evan Khoza and Kaizer did with the PSL, to make CAF a product, a marketable product that attracts investors. Once these investors are here, these things can be done.
But I guess my question is, why not in 70 years of CAF? Why are we only seeing that in 2024? In 70 years of CAF, the CAF Pro license was launched last year. Only 3 people hold the Pro license. Only 3. So what's holding us back as Africans? Because I understand the Mali and all of those things. Great, Mara. You know?
Corruption. ICAF is until very recently, ICAF has been a very corrupt organization where the North Africans and the West Africans are looking out for their own bellies.
Allegedly,
I
please.
think
You
only
don't get
now
me into
that
trouble.
Motsepe has come in that they've gotten a wake-up call to be like, guys, if we do this thing properly, singadla sonke. You understand? Honestly, you cannot separate the political history of the continent from the condition of the football.
Yeah.
These are all countries, the countries that are running CAF, running in inverted commas, which is West Africa and the North African nations, more especially West Africa. The corruption is so rife that it has seeped into the CAF organization, and it's only now that people are actually catching a wake up.
Okay.
They could have done this a long time ago.
Okay.
They could have done this a lot. Instead, they're taking money, they're taking brown envelopes to make sure, no, this and this team reaches the semi-final, this and this team reaches the final. Arab teams are getting referees' decisions. Instead of focusing on the actual CAF, they were focusing on Udimal. And honestly, Motsepe is bringing structure. I must commend that person because he has shaken up ICAF, and the longer he continues, the more we're going to see an improvement in all aspects, not just our competitions, but also in the administrative part of it, also in the facilities part of it. To such a point, Uguti, the world will have no choice but to pay attention to CAF.
Okay. All I want to say, guys, allegedly, the thoughts expressed by the panel are not those of overthinking football. Hey, they are fucking king it. I love that because the point that I wanted to get to is I think sometimes when you look at the issues within football and you look at all of these things, we make it seem like it's such a huge jump. You know, earlier people are saying there's the difference between a matric and a degree. We make it seem like it's a huge jump, but a lot of these problems could be fixed internally. A lot of these problems, guys, could be fixed in a year or two. But do we have the leadership there? And I think the biggest difference between UEFA and CAF, I will die on this grave, on this hill. UEFA and CAF, the difference is UEFA understands that we need European football to be at the top. We need to make the moves to make sure that for the next 10 years, 15 years, however long, we are still in front. We will innovate. We will use all of our power to go up against FIFA. We will do all of those things to get FIFA on our side. We will get more people in the World Cup. We'll do this, we'll do this. Why? Because we understand that we need to grow our brand first. And then singadla. The teams is the other because for the most part, they're together. That federation is together. Whereas in CAF, South Africa is doing its own thing. They don't mess with Egypt. Egypt is doing its own thing. Then Morocco is doing its own thing. Then in the West, Ivory Coast, Nigeria, and all those people are doing their own thing. Ngapa, Law is running it like this. Law is doing this. We're so divided. A lot of the things are easy fixes. But anyway, before I go too long, let me bring in Taendi. Taendi, I'm going to take you all the way back to the first question. Are these licenses being gate-kept? That we don't have normal people or everyday people? It's so hard for you to get this license. And is it a good or bad thing? Because sometimes gatekeeping is the right thing, sometimes it's not. Where do you stand?
It's bad with you. I think it's better. I agree with the first speaker. you know, I was checking who say Alex Ferguson. I don't know how many qualifications does he have as a coach. Look at it, how many cups he won, that guy. Close to my 40 something. He just went there with a skill and acquired. He won so many trophies. So for me, I think what we need to do, at least let's have categories, Mr. Oti. Let's have categories and say, but if you are from if you have started grade 10 up until let's say you have only grade 5 and grade 8, you can be you're only allowed to coach, let's say, local football, Kabikazi, somewhere, Justin. You graduate from grade 8 to grade 10. You can maybe coach, let's say, regional. Yeah, boy.
Okay.
So let's have categories. At least and that's where we send the benchmark, which, okay, this is where we end. From here, and there's no way you can coach the team, let's say, a professional team, like, let's say, Motaung League. Yeah, boy. So, but at least from Motaung League downwards, let's have at least a light qualification where it's not hard for coaches to
Well,
apply. Because
that's what they've done. So PSL, the top league, and the first division. I believe, okay, the top league, I know you have to have a CAF A in order to be a coach. To be an assistant, you have to have a CAF B. Then as you go down, it gets a little bit lighter. My only issue is ngintswembu ngisekasi. UCAF A ngizomthatha kuphi? Ngintswembu ngisekasi, uCAF Pro ngizomdopa, because it costs a lot of money to get those things. Sometimes as vulwa, other times, like for example, the coaches had to be I forgot where they were, but they were all taken to a place to do that CAF A. They had to do it mid-season and all of those things. Mina ngijoyina njani? Ngiyaspana, ngikocha nge-weekend, ngintswembu.
yeah, no, that one I think is very important, because you can't just go. Not everyone can coach. Else we have Abu with this guy Abaroka who tshwane. So we don't. So we need to avoid such things. So I think it's a good thing that they make it difficult for us to get e-lessons, because even us, we still want to get these lessons, but it's difficult. But at least if they make it difficult for us to have, I think it's good, so that we can not all go there and just want to be coaches and not improving standards in football as a South Africa. Yeah, in short,
Okay. So then tell me, let's move on to the bigger one that we were speaking about with the Super. Now CAF, now SAFA. CAF only implemented that CAF Pro last year. There's only 3 people that have it currently as we stand. It hasn't been benchmarked. It hasn't been tested. Why are we waiting so long? Why are we waiting so long to do these things? Pella, CAF should be, if I'm not mistaken, it's one of the older ones in the world. So shouldn't they be up to scratch, man?
Yeah, Mr. Uji, man, Africa, man, is interesting. Man, even the UEFA must, they only got this I think 2000, or if I'm not mistaken, UEFA Pro license. So it's recent for me. So I think even football in general is only waking up now to realize that you need to professionalize this coaching career. So I think I think it's relevant. It's a correct time. It's a proper time for me to have this thing, to have these licenses. Because I don't think Nati, we are that far away from because we are learning from. You must understand, Mr. Uchi. Many things we are learning from Europe. We are learning from Europe what they do. We learn from them and try to apply them to us. Although sometimes it might be difficult for us to get it proper, but at least somehow there's a little bit of a progress for me.
So should Mara Taedi, why are we clapping hands for a little progress? I mean, even if you look at the small things, small but big things. If you look at the small things, for example, next year's Champions League is going to, in Europe, is going to have a different format. They've got more teams, they've changed the format, they've done all of these things. Meanwhile, African Champions League has stayed the same. African Champions League, they still have the same problems for traveling, hasn't been sorted. They still have the same problem of the teams who are taking part, hasn't been sorted. They still have so many issues that everybody complains about every year. CAF is not stepping in to say, hey guys, this is what we're changing, this is what we're adding, this is what we're taking away, this is what we're experimenting with. What?
Yes.
Man, why is CAF behind?
It boils down to what we were talking about. That everyone wants to pull different directions in this case thing. But you must remember, now he was trying to push Franco-speaking thing, trying to isolate himself and try to get him a contract and doing his own thing, even not wanting to align his calendar to CAF and UEFA. So I think it boils down to everyone was pulling different directions. It's only now I think we are waking up to all these changes as it's a recent thing. For me, I think it was gonna be difficult to apply this thing while we had about bafana no higher two and the rest. It was very difficult for us to achieve that.
Okay.
Everyone was like, now I'm seeing was putting different directions. So for me, I think now.
Hey, it's cutting.
Time for.
Okay, I think Andy. I think Andy, we've got an issue there. I think we've got an issue there. Guys, I think I have space, let's say, for 3 more people that I can bring in while Andy's network is off there. I have space for 3 more people. So if you want to jump in, please jump in and let's have a conversation. This is all I'm saying, guys. This is all I'm saying. I think a lot of the problem with Africa for me is that the guys who are in power don't want to let go of power. So we're not getting new ideas. We're not getting new things, right? And those people that we put into power, it's up to the good of their own heart. It's up to the good of their own heart for them to do good for Africa. Whereas that side, there's competition all over the place. There's competitive things that have been put in order to make sure UEFA is not innovating just because UEFA is incredible and they're a wonderful place and all of that stuff. That's not why they're innovating. They're innovating because there's certain teams who said we're going to start a Super League. Then the heads of those teams, you look at Perez, for example, he's got a 5-year contract. So in 5 years, he has to go into an election. So he, in that 5 years, has to show you, this is what I've done. So there's all types of little competition things there that are building. But the biggest thing is that they all understand that the good of European football may not be financially great right now, but in the next 10 years will change. So if CAF was to say, guys, here's the CAF Champions League, everybody complains about the same thing. If you're not a team that has money, if you're not a team that is experienced in this thing, it kills you because you have to travel. It's 28 hours to travel from here to there to there. It's 18 hours to travel from here to here to here. So at what point does CAF go, okay, guys, let's solve some of these problems so that we can improve African football as a whole? A lot of the things that we want answers for are not easy, but they're far simpler than we think it is. And again, I'd just like to say, guys, CAF is old. Guys, the first finals of the CAF Champions League were like 1956, 1955. So if we only have Bo Pro license now and those type of things, and we haven't even benchmarked them, then what's the point of all the... Anyway, let me go to Kolani. Kolani, welcome to the show, my brother. How are you?
Thank you very much, Mr. Otsi. Ngiyaphila ngazakwena mfethu.
Hi, man, you're right, Kolani. Kolani, na indaba yama license. Where do you feel about this conversation we've been having? How do you feel about it? This conversation we've been having all night.
Yeah, Uti, I think UEFA is I don't think the UEFA is gatekeeping our coaches for them to go to Europe, because Mr. Uti, I don't believe that they would actually hire them even if they could acquire those qualifications.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't believe in African coaches.
Yeah.
And for Usafa, for Africa, Mr. Uti, I'll blame Usafa, because Usafa is in our region. I mean, Mr. Oti, we had a World Cup 14 years back, and we're starting our coaching programs manje, and it's not like our programs are cool, like junior level coaching. Like Mr. Oti, sathola malini FIFA yasinika malini as a hosting country ya 2010. Lot of money, ngithi Mr. Oti. So ishonable leyo mali le. Like the fact that for you as a coach to actually inquire a pro license like a CAF, you have to go to a Morocco. Kanti safa house yakhilwa under Mr. Uti. Because kwazi kwasho ngisho ithombe la kuthiwa oh safa has amalokhuzana ama buildings akhona kwakhathwa ama ribbon, but inomsebenzi wayo. Because 14 years Mr. Uti sekhule ingane yazalwa nge World Cup na 14 years manje. I think it's high school. Like zikala manje. So I think leadership ya Dr. Mr. Motsepe iyabonakala Mr. Uti, because kuningi okushintshayo manje. Hopefully naye uzoshintsha okuningi kule term yakhe, and also serve another term, because iyabonakala ukuthi there is a new leader e-Africa. Yeah, so that's my 2 cents, Mr. Uti.
Okay, I'm gonna come back. Let me bring in Malume Kutso. Malume Kutso, welcome to the show. How are you?
Mnandi kunjani, Mr. Uti?
Right, Malume Kutso. Malume Kutso, where do you sit with this conversation about the licenses and the situation that we find ourselves in?
Just a quick one. What does benchmarking mean? Hey, about benchmarking. What does that mean?
It's basically going that side and saying, okay, fine, this is your course, this is our course. How do they differ? What do you guys have that we don't have? What do we have that you guys don't have? And then later on, what they do is that they then rank them. So, for example, CONMEBOL, I use the South American guys, went to UEFA and said, okay, guys, let's benchmark against each other so that we know how we fit in. Is the UEFA Pro license actually higher than our license? And if it's higher like that, what courses do we do, or what things can we share that can make sure that we can be on the same level as you? So it's just basically going out and comparing, for lack of a better word.
I just want to ask some questions, and I'm going to be naive, as
possible.
Okay. CAF Pro, the new CAF Pro, it's designed around the needs of African players, right?
Yeah.
Coaching in Africa.
Yeah.
And it suits African football. Right. Now, what worries me is if it has not been compared to UEFA Pro, how is UEFA Pro working this side?
Tanko.
Because it clearly doesn't accommodate CAF or
Thank you.
African football. I think that is the question, because it's okay.
Exactly.
CAF Pro license Hispanic Europe, that's fine. But we also need surety that what you're going to do this side, you're not going to kill careers. And I want to make certain examples.
Yes. Finally. Malume Kutso, thank you, man. Thank you. Finally. Anyway.
There are players like Oscar Gomez who were trending Mama 360. Right? And certain coaches thought it was useless. And boy, did they not kill that career and bury it. And that very same coach has never won a league ever.
Yeah.
In this country. And we have certain coaches who understand a player like Tito, who will do things that look somewhat useless, right? And it will yield results. We've had a legend in the form of Clive Park, who literally instructed Dr. Kumalo to do what a UEFA background coach thought is useless, and that brought AFCON to South Africa. So can you maybe not point to that and say your curriculum lacks culture and understanding, and therefore, before you work like Africa, you need to do a bridging course. You're killing our football, which is why our players are even struggling. Kuma World Cups and all. I don't know just lap, Mr. Uti.
And that's what I was asking. That's what I was trying to figure out, Linna, because my worry is not necessarily about us going that side. My worry is that every time a coach comes here, everybody says, hi man, he's got a pro license. Abu Team Sugas were telling us about pro licenses and things like that. And it's like, but then why do we inherently believe that? Let me go to Kolani. Kolani, I want to speak about the gatekeeping of these licenses. Do you think that these licenses are being gatekept? Do you think that these licenses access is purposefully so hard to get? And do you think it hurts our coaching? Yoguti, now Gunamanje, the guys who have CAF A licenses, Gavin Hunt, he's been coaching for 30 years with PSL. You know, you've got Abu Steve Barker, you've got those type of guys, you've got Abu Jordaan Milford, Abu Godfrey Sapula. It's well and good that they've been in football, which is great, but is the process of getting these licenses maybe gatekeeping other coaches that maybe we could find in Ekasi or, you know, Emakai, and we don't have the access to these things? What do you think of the access conversation?
I'm not sure about gatekeeping, Mr. Otsi, but I think Usafa can do better in terms of bringing the cause here in South Africa. Because for me, we one of the leaders, one of our country are more modern like Africa, Mr. Otsi. So I don't think it will be difficult for Isafa Ugletama Kozla rather than for my coaches to take flights and go to Morocco, Mr. Otsi. So I'm not sure about gatekeeping, but I think Usafa need to be proactive and assist our coaches, because if you're not a former player, you will struggle to get our sponsors like Abo Rile, you know, no Chablani Mendu. They'll get sponsors from our former teams Abo, and also our sponsors like Nikes and stuff to actually find them to go and do those causes outside the country. So I think Safa ulele Mr. Utsi. I got Safa. Lo baba lo Teni Jordaan. I think it's time, Mr. Utsi. I think it's time.
And then tell me, Kolani, what is the role of CAF and FIFA in this? Because I sometimes I get shocked whenever you read stories about world football. Uti, one federation is here, the other federation is there. The one federation is only doing certain things now, another one, this one is fighting to get a new way. How does FIFA fit into this? And what role should FIFA play? Gulentama license, man. Nama benchmarking, nama standards.
Yo, Otsi, I'm struggling to hear you now.
Are you struggling to hear me? Oh,
can you hear me?
Let me just ask, Malume Kutso, can you hear me properly? I just want to make sure that it's not me also. Okay. Hey, Kolani. Okay, it's fine, Kolani. I'm going to come back. Let's see if your network rebounds. Malume Kutso, how do you feel about this license issue about access and gatekeeping? Is there gatekeeping? Is it right to have gatekeeping there or not right? How do you feel about that access conversation?
I think it's multifaceted. If we're saying Coach Pitso is the only one and the only one of three to have this pro license, and we're saying it's fairly new, can we really say you have to go to Morocco to study it, or the course has only been held once in Morocco? Which wording is proper and more accurate? Because I feel like the other might be misleading. If it's a course that actually becomes prominent, maybe what CAF can look to do is have it in the 4 regions of Africa, that being North, South, East, and West. I understand, establishing sub headquarters somewhere where these identified coaches. For now, it's okay to make it exclusive and identify I'm a coach to say coach A, coach B. You can have access to it because you have X, Y, Z. Do you understand? For now, as a pilot project, I believe with if by 3 it's still a pilot project. They're trying to see what it can yield, what fruits it can bear. You understand, Mr. Oti? And I really don't have a problem with them making it less accessible. People should be exempted. People should be identified until yield results are positive. But okay, this thing is fruitful. We've seen them elevate their careers. You understand, Mr. Oti? And when it comes to FIFA and
wait, before you go there, Malume Kuzo, before you go there, what about the general licenses? So what about CAF D to A? And I think I was speaking more to, like, for example, in South Africa, getting a license.
No, those ones are extremely accessible, Mr. Oti. It only goes down to your knowledge, but those ones, they're extremely accessible. Because we've spoken about this. By announcer Lapu Jordaan Milford.
Hey, but as you go up, the costs and the traveling and all of that stuff, doesn't that also have a factor as you go up?
To get a vet university degree, wherever you are, you have to travel to Bramfontein.
And when dead.
Yeah.
A deep debt.
So, even to bring it closer to home, to get a tax degree, you have to travel to Pretoria, Mr. Oti.
And I'm still paying that thing off. I don't have my degree in my house.
So we can't just suddenly say when it comes to football we don't take football serious. Mr. Oti. Maybe we can introduce NSFAS for Lama coach Akala traveling costs.
No, but it's true.
Yeah, no, on a serious note, NSFAS of some sort. Akala traveling costs, and that's where I think Kolani just mentioned something brilliant. If Puma is as well as it is Dr. Kumar, then they can fit the bill. Bam sponsor always that thing, and it follows with the other king, but Denon and Kuni. They can sort something out there, Mr. Oti. But to then blame it on the institution, but if you want. No, it's okay. I almost said fees must fall, but it's okay.
Well, the reason why I'm asking this is that it feels like it's a trend in Africa. Like, for example, it's a trend in Champions League that, hey, fam, if you want to take part in this thing, you know, we might price you out of it. You know, teams complain about travel, the cost, or whatever. At what point does a SAFA or FIFA, and maybe this goes to the second question, at what point do they step in and say, okay, for the good of African football, we might take a hit, we might have to do things that maybe we're not used to, or maybe whatever for this period, but later on we'll reap the benefits. So if it does mean that you create an ISFAS for coaches, and you say Malume Kuzo wants to be a coach, maybe now Coach Akokasi, he can show me that he's got some coaching background or he did something, and we're going to pay for your D2C or whatever, right? Or things like that. Shouldn't they be stepping in and going, okay, fine, this is what we need to do. And then on the FIFA question, shouldn't they come with an enforceable standard of basics? I feel like all the federations, whether you fail or you're doing well or doing badly, it feels as though it's up to you, if that makes sense. It's not necessarily that there's a body involved.
Ish. Yeah, it's fine. I'll go in.
Yeah, please.
No. I'm just thinking of some things, Mr. Uchi, that the reason it's expensive to travel in Africa, it's not because of Africans. It's because of historical bonds that we think have been broken, but that remain. And that's the reason it's cheaper in Europe, because it's them. Apparently. Hey,
yeah, no, I hear you.
Incriminating myself. They understand or harboring, or rather hindering my future as I grow in Klavin. But all I'm saying is that they are the reason, Mr. Oti. It could have been cheaper. You know, there's a certain fellow in SA who is liked so much, but is not liked for one reason and one reason only, and it relates to our travel costs. And people don't understand this very part, that in essence he wants to cut these travel costs. He wants to cut these visas and all of those things, which will make traveling in Africa much cheaper, which is what we want, which will make playing in the Champions League much easier and much cheaper. You understand, Mr. Uti? Because you can then move directly from here to Senegal or directly from here to Morocco without having to make a detour and paying some form of tax, if I may, Mr. Uti, but me for this one, man.
Well, I was going to say, Malume Kutsa, I was thinking more of like a travel sponsor. I was thinking more of like grouping games. I was thinking more of maybe grouping the teams in neediness or financial whatever, and saying, okay, fine, Jwaneng, maybe we don't, well, Jwaneng has got money, but anyway, just for the example, Jwaneng, we're not going to ask you to go play and fly to here. Maybe we can ask Ahly, hey, let's meet in South Africa or something like that. Obviously, I'm spitballing right now, but at a federation level, shouldn't those things come into play where, all of you are flying Rwanda, you're not going to pay the full thing, you'll pay 50% because of our partnership with these people, or things like that. Shouldn't CAF be jumping into those type of things?
No, I've thought of it, and you know what you were saying, ultimately, it leads to Club World Cup vibe. Where we converge in one region and we just play it out without having to travel from here to go and play against Chelsea, and Chelsea comes to South Africa, and then go Mexico. All you just do is go to one destination and play it out. You understand? Yes, we can try and do that, but at some point you have to travel, Mr. Oti, unless if we just select 8 teams from the point system, I understand, Mr. Oti, and say, okay, here's the team will qualify. But to for our sponsors, Mr. Oti, they then tend to control us if they over-sponsor us. You understand? Which is why Conor out being quantitated. It's high as we really mal, because we were being over-sponsored, if you get what I mean. Okay. If you are now being sponsored, Mr. Uti, I can see it to get streaming, just pure streaming, fella, or over online, Mr. Uti. It then kills you so much. You become dependent on a sponsor to a point where you are being controlled, Mr. Uti. And I don't support that level of sponsorship. Okay. I think abasinikizwe lethu, man, abasinikizwe lethu sikwazi ukutravel freely, alibuye izwe lethu. I
don't know if overthinking football is them. But then let's quickly, the last one, FIFA in terms of standards across the world and not just licenses. Is there a way for FIFA to then do a similar thing where they make sure that at least everybody's moving at a similar pace, or things like that, man. It feels like it's really up to you. If you want to innovate, you can innovate. If you can afford to innovate, you can innovate. If you don't want to, you can stay in the same spot. How does FIFA figure into all of this?
You can try, Mr. Uti, but I think the best answer was from U agent. Speaking of things such as we've been a memorandum, treaties, and all of that, where there's an agreement between certain countries, certain regions, what you do on that side and what you do on the side, we will accept. Otherwise, Mr. Uti, even if FIFA comes up curriculum, it's world comprehensive, those other ones can just choose and say, no, but we would like for you to when they 1, 2, 3, so that couldn't see the show how you understand, or ultimately they just ignore you. After 5 years, you understand.
Yeah.
So the only way is for us as Africa to also play ball, because clearly, in as much as we think we need them,
yeah,
we've lived without them in the coaching department. They, on the other hand, spend much time this side. So if we were to strengthen requirements this side and we were to say, if an is fucking at it, then they would like look and be like, yo, in South Africa, just in the top 8, there's like 4 already I can think of, if not 3. They need us. We need our people to be able to work that side. I understand, Mr. Oti.
Yeah, I understand.
There's Rivero, there's Seth Ramovic, there's gonna give who else is
Pablo Franco.
About Pablo Franco. There's a couple. There's that one, Eminem, who was here in the country but he left. we understand, Mr. Oti.
Yeah.
They need us. I think we need to see the power that we have. And the pool that we have when it comes to coaching. I think we are actually more of a Europe than a Europe to themselves.
Yeah.
Coaches are like, okay, cross over to Africa, you'll find something when they can't find something on that side. And Mr.
Okay. No, Madam Kutsa, thank you so much. I'll save the other topic for Monday, guys. I'll save the other topic for Monday. Thank you to everybody that joined. Look, these are the points that I just want to make quickly before we close. Guys, UEFA works for UEFA. UEFA looks after UEFA. UEFA takes their power and they put it onto FIFA and they say, hey, we are going to move like this because UEFA is united. I think one of the biggest problems with Africa is that we all are so disjointed in how we move, and for plenty of reasons, some political, some for other reasons. We are so disjointed that even then we can't even pull together and say that we're doing something for us. Even something for us, right? And that becomes an issue. I've always said that a lot of our problems, a lot of our perception, a lot of everything can be solved very easily. Do you know how hard it is to watch a Champions League game? That can be solved in a TV deal. Do you know how hard it is to even know what's happening in the Champions League, to even see stuff? That's tough. Already we've got travel issues. Already we've got all these things. So at some point, CAF has to go, can we do the best for us so that we can have a greater Africa later on? Can we maybe swallow some costs right now so that later on we've got something bigger? Can we figure out new innovative ways to get Africa together so that we can go forward and do these things? But I also like what Malume Kutso said there at the end when he spoke about how, guys, again, this is the thing that I was saying the whole night. These guys are flying in with UEFA Pro licenses. And just because it's a UEFA Pro license, umuntu uyangena. Do they understand what issues we have? Do they understand our football? Do they understand certain things? I could have a degree from wherever. But if you plot me into a place where my degree doesn't cover a term, for example, my hometown, a term, when I get to a time, there's going to be a whole bunch of issues that I'm going to have to deal with. But because we believe that this thing is so superior, we think that those guys are going to land here and they're going to be able to coach. It also goes the other way around. It's a conversation we had about Coach Pitso. We think that Coach Pitso has to earn his way into Europe because we've only ever seen him with Ahly and Sundowns. We don't know what Coach Pitso could do with Real Madrid. We don't know what Coach Pitso could do with Chelsea, with Man City. We don't know. But already we go to ourselves, nah, he has to go in and do whatever. Guys, there's a 31-year-old that's coaching Brighton. 31. I'm older than a guy who's going to be coaching Brighton full-time. That man doesn't even have top flight experience in a top league in a country. He's been placed in. Why? Again, Europe believes in Europe. Tina, we look at Coach Pitso and say, no, but Coach Pitso could never coach in the French league. Yeah, why the quality is too high or whatever. 31. No experience in winning, no experience in whatever. Is going to coach what? Is it the sixth or seventh best team in England right now? So then why is it that those guys that are that side come here and no one goes, yeah, but you've never coached in Africa. Why you come? Look at our national teams. Hugo Bruce is here. If you look at Benin, if you look at all these different countries, when you go to an AFCON, what do you see most of the time? Is these foreign coaches. It's these foreign coaches who you've never heard of, you've never seen. No disrespect. Look at Jose Rivero. What does his CV look like before he landed in SA? But we trusted that he's got a UEFA license. he's got a UEFA license. I'm even more radical. I made a comment the other day where I said, what's stopping us from sharpening our coaches to the point where they don't need to go that side? Mamelodi Sundowns is winning Club World Cups and all of those things. Why don't we sharpen our own football and do all of those things? But in any case, that's a whole another different conversation. But a lot of this is mental. A lot of this is us holding ourselves back. SAFA taking a hit of X amount of money to discover 20, 25, 30 new coaches. I don't think that's a bad thing. Because in 10 years' time, those 30 coaches are available for the league. Those 30 coaches might be coaching all over. Those 30 coaches could be in development structures. But if you close it up and it's only about Gavin Hunt and it's only about Coach Tinkler and it's only these guys and it's only former players, I guess you'll have a pool, but then are you going out and figuring out who the best people are? And bringing in the best. Same with development. Are you going, it's going to cost you more to go into the middle of nowhere to go find players. But you know what's going to happen? When you find those players, 10 years' time, we've got an incredible league. We've got an incredible bafana. We've got incredible everything. Because we might have swallowed it. Sundowns is the best example. I am pretty sure in his 20 years of owning Sundowns outright, I am sure there's $1 billion or $2 billion that has been spent on that club by Motsepe. Now he's reaping the rewards. Now his team is on top. Now that investment allowed him to be the president of CAF. Now that team is becoming one of the big ones. This is what I'm saying. But again, Africa, man, we are waiting for some savior to come down and teach SAFA how to open up a coaching licenses thing. We're waiting for some God to come down and land in Africa and tell us how to optimize our tournaments. We're waiting. We're consistently waiting. Whereas up there, they are all innovating. They are all innovating. But it's fine, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. I think I've gone over just a little bit. So let's do this. Tomorrow is the members show. So the members are the people who contribute towards the show financially. And we have a WhatsApp group of our own. If you want to become a member, you go over to YouTube, you click on subscribe, you click on join, and in the membership area, there's a link to the WhatsApp group. The WhatsApp group is incredible. The conversations that happen there are amazing. You've heard some of the people here. Tomorrow, you guys are going to be able to watch the show and consume the show like normal watching it, but the audio and the call and the people I'm going to be speaking to are going to come from the group. They pick a topic in the morning, they vote on which topic they want, and then they're the ones who steer the show, they lead the show. So we're going to have that, and then later on, Germany is playing the first game of Euro, funny enough. We're going to be watching that live as well. So join me tomorrow. If you have not followed, please follow. We do this every day. If you want to watch previous episodes of this show where we've had deep discussions like these ones, where we've reviewed games, where we've done watch-alongs, they're all available on YouTube in full. You can go over there and listen to what we've spoken to about this whole time there. I also release content daily, almost daily. So please support us. We're content creators. There's not many places that look like this. All we have with African and South African football is us watching analysts and former players and all of those people. We don't necessarily have places where we can speak as fans and we can come in. So that is the drive for this show, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. I see the comments, guys. I see the comments, but it's fine. Guys, I'll see you then tomorrow. Thank you to MK, Malume Kutsum, Z-Dog. Thank you for the gifts. Thank you to those that watched on YouTube, actually, also. But I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye, guys.